Comes up, takes out a knife, stabs her to death.
How much of a piece of shit person Kako is. Then he takes Myron fully. I'll expose him again too. If only Aiden knew how truly feels about him.
Comes up, takes out a knife, stabs her to death. 14 times he was previously arrested. 4 times. 14 times. He comes up and just stabs her to death. Situations like this are a nearly daily occurrence in our cities. We do not have to live this way. You can create a society and a culture where you can get on a train or a subway and not be Arina Zarutska and get stabbed to death in the neck because some black criminal decides, I'm just going to go do it. 14 times he was previously arrested. And all of the Koch brother-funded liberal criminal justice BS is the reason why guys like him are still on the streets. 14 times. Let's put this back up on screen. And Arina Zarutska, why did she come to America? She was fleeing violence in Ukraine. It turns out it's more dangerous on subways in Charlotte, North Carolina than a war zone in Ukraine.
Moving on. Again, thanks for tuning in to the Jimmy Dore Show. I am your guest host, Misty Winston. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, apologies that I am not Jimmy Dore. I see people in the comments. I'm sorry, guys. I can't help it. So let's talk about Benjamin Netanyahu telling the truth for a change, because that doesn't happen often, right? So Netanyahu signs off on major West Bank settlement expansion, says there will be no Palestinian state. And this has always been the plan, fam. It's never been about the hostages. It's always been about greater Israel. It's always been about the land. It's always been about destroying Palestine, killing as many people as humanly possible, and driving the rest of them out. And at least now he's starting to be open about those plans. So this is from Dave DeCamp over at antiwar.com. He does great work as well. He also hosts a great Monday through Friday morning show on foreign policy and geopolitics, where it's just like a quick breakdown of all of the day's biggest stories, if you guys want to go check that out. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday signed off on a major expansion of illegal Jewish settlements in the Israeli-occupied West Bank and vowed, I can't talk today, that there would never be a Palestinian state. Quote, "We are going to fulfill our promise that there will be no Palestinian state. This place belongs to us," Netanyahu said at a signing ceremony that took place at the West Bank settlement of Ma'ale ad Dumim, according to the Times of Israel. The agreement Netanyahu signed authorizes construction for the controversial E1 settlement plan, which was put on ice for decades due to international opposition. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, a West Bank settler himself, recently announced that Israel would push through the project to, quote unquote, bury, interesting term to use, the idea of a Palestinian state. At the signing ceremony, Smotrich said Israel would soon be celebrating the annexation of the West Bank. "The prime minister told me, I'm staying here to hear what you have to say, and I know what you intend to say," he said. "Mr. Prime Minister, all of us soon will thank you and congratulate and celebrate together the application of sovereignty throughout Judea and Samaria," he added, using the biblical name for the Palestinian territory. The signing ceremony comes as the Israeli government is considering annexing parts of the West Bank in response to several Western countries moving to recognize a Palestinian state. Smotrich recently outlined a proposal for annexing 82% of the West Bank and leaving 6 Palestinian population centers, 6, I like that they're calling them Palestinian population centers, isolated as islands. A plan, he said, aims for, ready for this, maximum territory and minimum Arab population. I mean, at least he's saying it out loud now, right? U.S. officials have made clear that the Trump administration won't oppose any steps Israel takes to annex Palestinian territory in the West Bank. Quote, "The U.S. has never asked Israel to not apply sovereignty," Mike Huckabee said. "I have repeatedly stated that the U.S. respects Israel as a sovereign nation and will not tell Israel what to do. This is also what Secretary Rubio has said as recently as this week." Crazy business. Trump keeps trying to play strongman on this issue and pretend like he's holding Netanyahu's feet to the fire and he's had these difficult conversations and these heated phone calls. No, he hasn't. He's not doing anything. There's nothing is there. Israel's allowed to do whatever they want. There is no accountability. There's no, forget law and order, right? Like Trump likes to pretend like he's this big law and order guy. He's literally murdering people en masse daily in front of the entire world, and they're not doing anything about it. Nothing. So this article from Al Jazeera just has a little bit more information about this. So I want to just go through a couple of these things here. So this is basically the basics of what we just said. So he said, we're going to double the city's population. The settlement on a 12 square kilometer, which is about 4.6 square miles, tract of land east of Jerusalem is known as East 1 or E1. The development plan, which includes 3,400 new homes for Israeli settlers, would cut off much of the West Bank from occupied East Jerusalem while linking up thousands of Israeli settlements in the area. East Jerusalem carries particular significance to Palestinians as their choice for the capital of a future Palestinian state. I think that this is intentional as like a morality destroyer as well. So all Israeli settlements in the West Bank occupied since 1967 are considered illegal under international law, regardless of whether they have Israeli planning permission. Reporting for Al Jazeera from Amman, Jordan, because Israel has banned Al Jazeera from the West Bank and Israel, as they have banned all journalists, other than the very brave ones who are already on the ground. Hamda Salhout explains that this expansion is controversial because it destroys any territorial continuity from the West Bank to East Jerusalem, further dismantling any possibility that there could be a Palestinian state in the future. So they're basically just trying to carve it up so that it's not that Palestine doesn't have any sort of cohesive land mass, that it's all just like little sections here and there, as they call them, population centers, which essentially just keeps them from having an actual state and really keeps them from coming together and having any sort of like cohesive government or a society, anything, which is the whole point. So obviously Palestine is pushing back. Palestinian Authority presidential spokesman Nabil Abu Rudina, probably butchering that, dumb American, sorry, on Thursday insisted that a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital is the key to peace in the region. He called it in the two-state solution inevitable, which I disagree. The two-state solution was always a joke, despite Netanyahu's move. So he condemned the Israeli settlements as illegal under international law and accused Netanyahu of, quote, pushing the entire region toward the abyss. That's the point. He noted that 149 United Nations member states have already recognized Palestine and called on all countries that have not yet done so to recognize a Palestinian state immediately. So how did we get here? Netanyahu has long championed settlements in occupied Palestinian territory, and fought any effort toward peace between Israel and Palestine. He railed against the signing of the Oslo Accords, two agreements in the 1990s between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization that many hoped would lead to the creation of a Palestinian state. He said, I de facto put an end to the Oslo Accords. Netanyahu was caught on video boasting in 2001. In 97, during his first term as prime minister, Netanyahu helped establish the settlement of Har Homa in East Jerusalem. He added in an interview with the Israeli news site NRG that a Palestinian state would never be formed while he was in office. And this is what's so frustrating to me. Sorry, quick rant. This is what is so frustrating to me. They've never been shy, guys. Like, everybody's been pretending that this is, not everybody, but you know, the people who have been pretending that this is about the hostages and they're just reacting to October 7th. That's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. They're not reacting to anything. I think that they allowed, this is my opinion. Don't come for me. Certainly don't come for Jimmy. This is my opinion. They allowed October 7th to happen. They needed it to happen in order to justify the genocide so that they could do exactly what they're doing now, which is take the land. And there you have it. So this is, and they've never been shy, guys. This is the 90s. He's talking about this stuff. It's always been very out in the open if you just bother to listen to them. They've always been pretty clear about their intentions here. So more recently, far-right Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said settlements such as E1 would help erase Palestine from the map. They just say it out loud. They have been, even as Palestinian statehood gains increasing recognition from UN member states. And again, he talks about bearing the idea of a Palestinian state. So here's how the international community has responded. The UN General Assembly demanded in September 2024 that Israel end its presence in the West Bank by withdrawing its military, immediately stopping work on new settlements, and evacuating settlers from occupied land. More than 100 nations voted for the resolution, 14 voted against. The vote followed an advisory opinion issued by the International Court of Justice in July 2024 that said Israel's continued presence in occupied territory was unlawful, and Israel was, quote, under an obligation to cease immediately all new settlement activities and to evacuate all settlers from the occupied Palestinian territory. Netanyahu, of course, called the opinion a decision of lies. More recently, 21 countries, including the United Kingdom, Australia, and Japan, condemned Israel's plan to build its new settlement. Germany announced on Thursday that it will back a France-led proposal for a two-state solution, the Bloomberg News agency reported. Berlin is planning to support a UN resolution this week to adopt a New York declaration led by France and Saudi Arabia and calling for the creation of a Palestinian state and a right to return for refugees. Belgium, France, and Malta have pledged to recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly session this month. Other countries, including Australia, Canada, and the UK, have announced conditional recognitions, but it has remained unclear whether they will do so at the gathering. And this just goes on to talk about some of the violence and things like that that have happened in the settlements. So again, Israel has never been shy about their intentions. They've been talking about this stuff for decades, out loud in the open, not hiding it, not, obfuscating, just very clearly expressing their intentions. And then people will try to gaslight you and pretend that it's about October 7th and it's about the hostages, and it's never been about that. So there you have it. Netanyahu is actually, and it's, kind of refreshing that he's actually just saying it out loud, because he has attempted to obfuscate since October 7th and has at times. He also has just been very clear about it out loud in the open. He's tweeted it. They're not shy about it. But I think that they are feeling very confident and arrogant, honestly, they probably should. There's no accountability, and they are allowed to get away with everything. So I don't think that they have any fear whatsoever, but there's going to be repercussions for anything that they're doing, which is really depressing. And they're probably right. And that sucks. But there you have it. Benjamin Netanyahu straight up said that there will never be a Palestinian state, at least as long as he is in power. And I'm not sure there's much we can do about that, to be honest with you. So, all right, let's move on. I've got one last Israeli story, and then we will switch to Rumble. So just a heads up, we're going to be switching over to Rumble after this story if you guys want to head over there. So thank you again for tuning in to the Jimmy Dore Show. I am your guest host, Misty Winston. JD is out on tour. He's got all kinds of shows coming up. He's going to be tonight. He's in Rosemont. Tomorrow he's in Rosemont. He's got Chicago, Louisville, Fort Wayne, Indiana coming up, along with others. So check out jimmydore.com. And of course, while you're there, check out the special, Grab 'em by the Pussy. It's also over on the YouTubes if you want to check it out there. It's fantastic. So go and get some laughs in. So